What's shakin'? Hey, I'm Rick Jordan. Today, we're going all in. Public speaking, that's one of the biggest fears that so many people have, at least so I read anyways. And I get this question asked all the time. It's like podcasts, right? This show is almost 400 episodes. I'm on stages all over. I go on nationwide TV networks all the time too. I mean, Google me. I mean, last month, prior to this episode publishing, I was on the news 4 times in August, and I don't get nervous. And I was looking back because I was talking with somebody like, do you ever get nervous? And I get that question a lot. I'm like, no, I really don't. Like, oh, well, what do you do to prepare? I mean, even when you like go on TV, you know, what do you do to prepare around all that stuff? I'm like, I read the article that the producers send me just so I'm up to speed on the actual topic. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, no, it takes me like 3 or 4 minutes and then I'm good to go. I can speak about that. Like, it's mind blowing because I'm sure you're listening to this right now. You're like, how could anybody possibly do that? You know, when people prepare a talk or something like that, they're going hours and preparing these pages and these bullet points. And some people even like do word for word, which by the way, I tried one time when I hired a speaking coach 5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago, I think, 2018, whatever that was, when I hired a speaking coach in 2018. And he wanted me to go through this talk that I had word for word. So literally typed it out. I mean, he even wrote most of it for me because that was what his thing was about. And then I had to deliver this. It was based off of a conversation with me and coaching and trying to pull information out of me and all that. So it wasn't written poorly. It was actually written pretty good. But when I started to try to rehearse this thing, it was like word for word. I'm like, this just does not compute with my brain. So then what I did is I just took like 5 points, that's it, and made those notes. And as soon as I did that, I was able to just blast through this thing, telling the stories that I needed to tell, communicating all the information I needed to, moving the crowd. And that's just the way that it's been for me. And I'm going to tell you exactly why, because I thought about this the other day and I completely forgot that this was the case. It's like I have been speaking publicly since 3rd grade. And I remember this vividly now when I was in 3rd grade. And I'm going to tell you today, this is what I'm doing. I'm giving you tips today on how to become a better speaker, a better communicator, from whether it's on TV like me, whether it's a podcast like this show, whether it's on stage somewhere, whether it's in a small group. I'm telling you, from experience, sometimes the small groups, they can be a lot of fun. And at the same time, if you only have like 6 to 15 people in the room, it actually can be one of the more nerve-wracking times because it's like literally you're right there with those individuals rather than being able to look over a vast audience. And it's much more difficult, I'm telling you, it's much more difficult to get the entire room of a small group of 15 people to move their energy at the same time. Much harder than it is for 1,500 people. Because 1,500 people, there's more people that you can count on to catch on and to move with the energy and create this wave and movement in the audience to help get them from point A to B, to inspire them, to move something in their hearts, to make a shift in their life. It's a lot easier when it's a larger group of people, a lot easier. When it's a small group, you actually almost have to like target each individual person that's there, and it's more difficult, it's more work. Now, when I was speaking in 3rd grade, what happened to me, and this is how, when I have conversations with people, it's like all of a sudden you get an idea. And this idea, maybe this has happened with you, this idea is almost like a download in the moment. And it's not necessarily like a download of the words that you're going to say. It's a download. Now, some of you, I bet you're nodding your heads like, yeah, that's what happens, right? It's not like point by point everything you're going to do, but it's like when you allow your emotions to take over. Right? When you think about an idea and you allow your emotions to take over, you're like, this is what I'm going to communicate in a talk, in a podcast, on a TV appearances, whatever. This is what I'm going to communicate. It like overtakes you. And the problem that people get stuck in is to begin to overthink this. You might begin to like say, well, I need to say this here and that there. Just start talking like in your mind, because all the way back to 3rd grade, as far as I can remember, this is how it's happened with me. And I get this immediate download when I hear something and it's like, oh man, and it's just like boom, 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 boom. And it's like, I know the direction that I'm going to go. Now I'm going to tell you this is probably counterintuitive to most speaking coaches that are out there. But the biggest part that you need to understand before you go into a talk, really like one of the only things that you need to know, is where you're going to end. Like what point that journey is stopping, what that final point is, that final thing that you need to do with your audience, that final statement you want to deliver, if it's a word for word kind of thing. And I'm not going to say anything against people that want to do that, because some are amazing. I mean, look at like stand-up comedians, right? I've even done stand-up on Broadway, literally, right? And that was more word for word because it was a set. It was more like acting than it was actually delivering a talk. Now, as long as you know where to end in whatever speech you have, talk you have, you will do okay in the middle part, as long as you don't chase too many rabbits, because you can tend to do that. Now, when I was in third grade, it was actually a Bible study like Sunday school, actually, in this church that I was in. And we were going through Noah's Ark. And in this moment, I got like super excited over some of these fine details in this story, because I don't know if you've ever been in that kind of a thing to where you've learned about this. Maybe you've been in some kind of religious schooling when you were young. But the thing that blew my mind, right, whether you believe in God or not, there's historical references of this, and this was just such a massive ship. And I started to think of the logistics and the engineering undertaking of these things when it started to describe in the Bible the ark was X amount of cubits long, X amount of cubits wide, and then the thing that killed me was X amount of cubits high. Cubits was a measurement of distance at that point in time, like inches or meters or whatever today. And that's what completely gripped me in that moment. And I got excited about this to where I went through the whole thing. So I actually went to the teacher and I'm like, hey, can I talk about this next week? And they were taken back. I remember this. They're like, well, sure, let's do it. So I remember teaching this, and that's what got me super excited, is because this knowledge that I got pumped up over, that I got excited about, is what I wanted to share with everybody else. Now, here's another key to public speaking, is that talk about what you're excited about. Everybody gets excited about things, about whatever it is. And that's a great place to start, because as you get this, think about like the last time you got super pumped over something. Maybe it was a new job, right? You thought about this career. Maybe when you were younger, you're like, this is what my major is going to be in college. Or you're like, this is what I'm going to do for the next 10 years of my life. Or women, I mean, when you're going to get married, right? Or you're planning this thing since you were like 12 years old for the most parts, and you're thinking this is how it's going to be. You get excited, you get filled up with emotion, and your mind gets carried away. Every human being, I believe, on the face of this planet gets excited over something. And that is what you are meant to share. That is what you are meant to teach. That is what you are meant to be able to bring others along this wave with you. A talk with the PowerPoint, when you're just looking down and staring at bullet points, or looking up at, God, the thing I hate the most, right? When you're looking up at a PowerPoint presentation and you're literally just reading the bullet points. We've all been there, right? Whether it's a teacher in school, whether it's at a conference, whatever, we've seen those people read off of that. But teach what you get excited about, and you're not going to need those bullet points, because it's just going to be in you. And this is the best way to start. Because no matter what, I mean, my kids right now are in school, and it's online private school, right? Everybody says like they're homeschool, but I've made this distinction before. It's online private school. One of their requirements is a public speaking course. And I believe in that. I heard about that because they're just doing it this year. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. Because everybody on the face of this planet needs to have good communication skills in order to be successful. Public speaking is the best way to hone in those skills. And it doesn't have to be on a stage of 3,000 if that's something that you just like, I just don't want to do that. But you do have to communicate with small groups of people your entire life. That's what we're talking about here. And the best way to communicate anything is to start with the things that you're excited about. And then after years, because I get asked this question, it's like, how do you not need preparation time? It's like, oh, I'd get so much anxiety, or I've been asked by people who work with me. It's like, cool, what are you speaking on tomorrow? You've got your 30-minute keynote at the event tomorrow. I'm like, I don't know. They're like, seriously, you don't know? I'm like, I've got a topic that I'm excited about. And that's it, right? I can go up, and even if somebody called on me in a moment's notice, which has happened many times, to where it's like, hey, this person canceled, can you fill in for them? Like, absolutely. Tee me up, let's roll. The reason I can do that is because I've been doing this over and over and over and over and over again. Now, this show, All In, I love doing this for you. I love doing this for everybody that's been listening over the years and all the future listeners, and that's how it's grown so much. I know you can always hear the excitement in my voice about this. Even if I didn't want to do that for the point of reaching an audience anymore, and I'm not saying that's ever going to happen because that is like ingrained in my DNA to love doing that. This show has given me so much speaking practice to where I'm constantly talking and communicating, just like playing a musical instrument, even though you know the notes. Even though you know the notes and you've known them, you can read the music, you can play it technically proficient. After you've played that piece 100 times in just 2 weeks to get ready for a performance, now you start to put in the flair and the emotions and the character in the music. For anybody that's ever played an instrument, I know you know what I'm talking about right now. After you do it so many times, now you can just pick up that guitar, pick up that saxophone, pick up those drumsticks, flip open the cover to the piano, and just go to town. Because you've been doing it for so long and you've put in the time and the practice to build up that muscle memory and that neurological memory to where it's just in you now and you can do it. That's the same thing with public speaking. It's identical to that. So the first thing is to get excited about something, and that's what you should start teaching. Everybody has that thing. And then over the course of time, you want to cultivate that ability. Even if you didn't like it and you were nervous AF when you get up there, which you probably will be, but that's a way to, I'm telling you, this is like the secret. This is the secret sauce right here, is the way to get over your nervousness is to just start talking about stuff that you're excited about. Because it's like it's a battle of emotions, right? And I guarantee you that the excitement emotion will win every single time over the nervousness and over the anxiety. It always does, especially after you get rolling for just like 30 seconds or a minute or something like that. Even if you walk up there, do I get nervous now? I can't remember the last time that I was. Now, when it comes up to where it's like a big show, like a couple years ago, the first time I was on Bloomberg, right? I'm like, oh man, this is like a big deal. You know, and I'm thinking about it, I'm like, but then I'm like, I'm talking about some stuff that I'm excited about. So this is going to go just fine. And you know what's funny is that the times that I actually think that I really, really suck, this is ironic to me. The times I think that I actually really suck on stage are the times when the majority of the people come, I'm like, dude, you crushed it. Thanks for that. This is going to change my life. Man, I had tears in my eyes with the story you told. Thank you for coming here today and giving me some pieces of wisdom. And I'm thinking, it's like, man, I thought I was really sucking it up. But that's because time and time again, I've done this all the way back to the first time when I was in 3rd grade. Right? And we're talking like 30 years ago now, just talking about something that I was excited about. That is the biggest secret to being a proficient, or at least getting started as a proficient public speaker, or even just a proficient and effective communicator on stages, on TV, or even just down to an office conference room, where you have to get an idea across to get the team moving in a certain way, or contribute in a meaningful and impactful way to whatever it is that you're involved in right now. I know this is going to help some people, but just talk about what you're excited about. It'll make things a lot easier when you communicate.